take the boy out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the homeboy. And such is the case, man. No matter where you relocate these individuals, no matter where you lock them up, man, they always find a way. No matter whether you put them, whether it's ADX, whether it's Florence, Colorado, whether it's in the Redwood Forest up in Pelican Bay, in the middle of nowhere, these individuals somehow find a way to flourish in their environment. It's honestly disturbing to see the amount of power these individuals yield. You know, you live by the sword and you die by the sword, and such is the case with Mosca from Sanford. You know, the fall of a giant, the fall of a leader, someone who's controlled vast areas throughout the California, San Fernando Valley area, you know, and of course some Northern California cities as well as cities across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and dive deeper into this individual. And here are some unknown facts. Perhaps you knew them, perhaps you didn't. But we're going to go ahead and dive into this. Please hit that like button and that subscribe button on your way out. So here we go. So first things first, ladies and gentlemen, with some recent information that, of course, has come to light. You know, this individual that's responsible for the murder of Mosca, one of the individuals that participated in the brutal homicide of the removal of Mosca. His name is Ray Martinez, an individual with a big MS-13 on his neck. Apparently, this individual is a made man. Yes, he is a Mexican mafia member. He is one of the people that is responsible for murdering a fellow Mexican mafia member, Mosca. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, of course, I have read the comments. Of course, me, myself, I actually have had a guest on the show who has told the story how Mosca has had a person hit, a rapper, in fact, Little Demon. You guys go ahead and check that out if you haven't already checked that out. So, of course, I do know of the reputation that this individual has had, of his murderous, his violent ways, how he's had so many people hit, how he's had so many young men, how he sent them to their graves. Of course, I've heard all these things. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you know of somehow this individual has affected somebody, please drop a comment. You can drop it anonymously. You know, it's all good. But I would like to know. So we're going to go ahead and take things back to the very beginning, back when Mosca was initially taking his murderous path on becoming a Mexican Mafia gang member. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but there were some discrepancies in his validation on becoming a member. Now, apparently, Huero Flores, a Mexican Mafia founder of Hawaiian Gardens, apparently he took it upon himself to make 3 individuals, you know, behind the other members' back. Now we're talking Mosca from Sanford, Payaso from Colton, and Chato from Watts. Now Chato apparently had the black hand actually tattooed on him. He actually had it on the back of his hand. Now apparently, you know, due to these discrepancies and apparently not being validated by the other members of the mafia, he was told to cover up the tattoo. Now, fortunately for Payaso from Colton, his career was actually salvaged because another Mexican mafia member by the name of Chano was able to raise his hand for him. Now, apparently, this individual, Chano, actually had his own personal dispute with another master manipulator, a political assassin by the name of Tupi Hernandez. Now, Tupi Hernandez out of Ontario Black Angels, we already know, man, he would meet his demise, but Chano would eventually be killed. Now, Payaso, for a while there, he was in turmoil, whether he was validated, whether he wasn't, whether he was going to get sat down, whether he wasn't, but eventually he would become made. Now, Mosca, he would find himself in a similar situation, but fortunately for himself, another reputable Mexican mafia member by the name of Güero Smooth, Raul Garcia, you guys already know who he is, out of Pacoima Flats. Now, he was able to raise his hand and speak up for Mosca, saying that, you know, it wasn't fair. You know, it wasn't fair that he should be shelved on the side. You know, he's more than qualified to become a member. He himself has already been incarcerated for an involuntary manslaughter. You know, he's known to be a murderer. He's known to carry out orders. He's known to do his, you know, to do his part. So, fortunately for himself, he ended up becoming a member as well. Now, when it came to Huero Flores, man, that is one interesting individual. He has been in the mix since as long as he's been alive. You know, this goes way back, man, to when he was a young child. Now, it's even crazy for him, man, because he actually had a family member who actually got in trouble with the mafia. Now, you would come to think that this individual would speak up for him, would try to protect him, would try to do something for him, knowing that that's his family member. However, he stuck to the code. He did not seek any type of special treatment to try to help his family, man. And That's a cold world. That's one cold dude right there, man. As we already know, ladies and gentlemen, this individual, Mosca, was one cold, treacherous, murderous individual who would have you hit. He would have you murdered at the drop of a hat. You know, a lot of people have felt the worst days of their life because of this individual. A lot of moms have cried because of this guy right here. This is not a joke. This is not a game. This individual has inflicted a lot of pain, a lot of damage towards Hispanic families. That is the cold truth. That is the cold reality. One victim would feel the wrath of this murderous psychopath when he made the life-altering mistake of impersonating a Mexican mafia member. Now, why would someone do that? Why would someone be crazy enough to do that? Whether it's greed, whether it's money, whether it's power, whether it's finesse, who knows what it is. But this individual did exactly that. He went to Mosca's neighborhood, said that he was a made man, started collecting money, started taxing people. Once Mosca found out about this, he was infuriated. He went ballistic. And his mission was to kill this individual. Now, apparently, he wasn't able to locate this individual. So what did he do next? He got to the person that was closest to him. That was his homeboy. He kidnapped him. Now, apparently, I don't know what Mosca did to this individual, but he got him to confess where his homeboy was. What happened? They shot him. However, for some apparent reason, this individual survived. So they took him out to the desert. They were going to kill him out there and dump him out there in the middle of nowhere. However, miraculously, this individual managed to escape. And it went straight to the authorities. And that was why he was convicted of premeditated murder. Now, we already know that this individual is a cold, calculated murderer. However, he is also a smart business person who has far reach, who has business dealings all across the country, from California to Northern California to Hawaii to New York to Detroit. This individual is involved in it all. Now, apparently he was involved in a recent indictment involving notorious Aryan Brotherhood members Ronald Yandel, Billy Sylvester, leader of P9 Death Squad, Popeye, Travis Burhop, who is notoriously known for having my friend Powder removed and stabbed 3 different times. Now, apparently this individual, Mosca, was set to supply Ronald Yandel with, drug supply. Now, Travis Burhop already had his own established connection, so he was leery of creating this new relationship with Mosca. He didn't even want to participate. He didn't want to do this new business relationship because he already had his established connection. However, due to the insistence of Ronald Yandel, Travis Burhop went along with it. However, when he received his drug, it was low quality stuff. So this individual would receive low quality drugs. He was not able to get rid of the drugs. Time would pass. As you already know, the authorities are listening on everything. They have an insider. They have someone working. They have a gang member who's ready to debrief. They have someone who they're talking to. They're always listening, and that's exactly what it is that happened. They were to intercept and listen on conversations between Ronald Yandel and Travis Burhop about these low quality drugs, and eventually they were able to manage to locate where the stash house was and find the drugs and tie everybody in together. And that is how Mosca was eventually, connected to these dealings. As we already know, ladies and gentlemen, through the years, there has been women, señoras, or secretaries, or people that were heavily involved, people that have been killed, people who have picked up life sentences, 10, 20 years, people that have been involved in these indictments due to their involvement in passing messages and having people hurt, having people killed. Yes, a lot of these women have their involvement in this, and such is the case with Mosca. He had his secretary, Virginia Moore, also known as Mom. Now, she was responsible for passing the message to having this young man killed, and it was all over an $1,800 debt. $1,800 is all it takes for you to get murdered. Imagine that $1,800 is all it takes to have someone like him, Mosca, have his secretary send word out there to the streets and to have people risk their lives and picking up a life sentence and killing another fellow Hispanic gang member who they probably grew up with and knew their entire lives, all for $1,800. $1,800. That's all it takes. So yeah, so I just stated, apparently this individual, Verg, or Mom, as it stated, she passed the message, had this individual hit. She would eventually, and what would happen? She ended up cooperating with authorities. It's sad. It's sad to see these women, participate in such dark activity. How do you become so cold? How do you become so callous? Why would you want to associate yourself with such insanity. And these men, they use these women, they use them as fronts, because they know that if someone gets killed, once these messages are passed, you know, they fall. And so many women have picked up so many cases for these mobsters, but nobody talks about that. They're forgotten about. They're completely forgotten about. And me personally, I know a handful of women who have picked up hefty sentences, 20-something years, for these mobsters. Of course, we already know some that have gotten killed for these mobsters as well. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. These are just some facts that I came across, you know, of this notorious mobster Mosca, who was killed yesterday, you know, at Folsom. You know, my respects to the family. I feel sorry for them. To him, you know, I actually was starting to feel sorry for him, but then again, I got to remind myself that this was one cold individual, and there shouldn't be remorse for an individual like that. With that being said, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on your way out. Thank you.